Okay, we'll call this meeting to order, everyone. We're going to begin tonight with a public hearing. Are we on the record yet? Okay, thank you. We're going to begin tonight with a public hearing for CU 2-25, a communications tower located at 4900 Lasher Court, a conditional use application for a communications tower, 10.712 acres, tax parcel 4907000263, RR Rural Residential Zoning District. Michael, do you want to lead us off with an introduction at all? Or
Sure. The application was received January 23rd of 2025. The applicant is the Towers LLC, represented by Mead and Hunt. The property for the tower is a private piece of property. There is a lease agreement in place. The applicant is present and will present the details regarding the proposed tower.
Okay, thank you. Applicant, please come forward and just make sure to identify yourself for the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Joe Cortez. I am here on behalf of the Towers LLC as well as Verizon Wireless for a joint application to develop the property on Lasher Court. We submitted a very detailed project narrative that I assume each of the members of council has a copy of. Contained within here are a lot of the documents I'll be referencing to demonstrate compliance with the conditional use criteria contained in your ordinance. The tower that we're proposing to develop is 125 feet, and it basically is filling a hole and a gap in coverage that Verizon currently has in Murraysville. As is in all occasions for developing new sites, Verizon and their tower companies first look to co-locate. Are there any tall structures? And that's consistent with the requirements of your zoning ordinance. And unfortunately, given the location, there are no tall structures within a quarter mile is what your ordinance requires, but even within 2 miles, there are simply no tall structures that would be able to mount the equipment that Verizon needs to provide signal to this surrounding area. What I'd like to do before we get into the evidence is to give you a little bit of background of where we are today with the wireless communications facilities. When I started in this business some 35 years ago, communication towers were largely developed on interstates and on the highways. Around here, you had a large site in Monroeville. You also have a large site in Greensburg at the park. Similarly, Greentree, you had a 450-foot tower. Cranberry, 450-foot tower. As the network has continued to develop and to mature, the technology has changed in a relatively short period of time. Towers were first built for voice purposes. Now, as we get to the 5th generation of wireless, voice is used the least for purposes of accessing the network. So in a relatively short period of time, what once was used as an item of luxury, now it's an item of necessity. All of us, I would venture to say in this room, have mobile devices of some level. They're used for a variety of purposes. Many of us work from home quite a bit, and we need to access the network for our business purposes. People under the age of 35 tend to use their mobile devices for entertainment purposes. But all of it becomes a issue with respect to the coverage and the capacity associated with providing those signals so that the end user can get that signal, carry that signal, and to generate it through a period of time. There's some statistics I'd just like to point out that just came across my desk in the last week. Over 74% of U.S. households today are wireless only. And what is that demonstrating? I think all of us, at some level, are cutting the cords. Whether it's cable TV, whether it's our landlines, we're relying more and more on the network. And as a result, the carriers have to plan for that and build for that as capacity continues to increase. There are 32 billion wireless devices worldwide. Over 80% of all 911 calls come from wireless devices. Today, there are over 280 million mobile calls generated annually for 911 purposes. As far as your ordinance and the conditional use criteria, Verizon is proposing to construct a site at this property. The tower company has entered into a lease with the property owner, and that memorandum is a part of the record. What we're proposing to do, as I said, is a 125-foot monopole. It's basically a large utility pole with the equipment to be attached to the top of it, with the base station equipment to be housed within a 50 by 50 area that is leased on the subject property. The site is an unmanned facility. There's no water nor sewage associated with it. Access comes off of the public street, extends to the compound area. That compound area will be improved as required by your zoning ordinance. The first item I'd like to point out, and probably the most important of all of the exhibits that we submitted, is set forth in Exhibit A. And those provide quite a bit of detail as to the need for this particular site. There, I believe, are 10 pages in here, and it shows the existing nature of the field conditions today for the Verizon network. And as I indicated at the beginning of my presentation, there's a gap in coverage. If you go to page 8 and 9, those are color-coded to basically show you the current service in the particular area, which shows essentially that gap. And if this site is approved, that gap is covered as a result of this facility. There are quite a bit of other details set forth in the engineering exhibit. Talks about the need for the site, talks about the coverage needs, and also the capacity needs as the network continues to grow and more users come onto the network. And, interrupt me if you have any questions. And I have two individuals here with me tonight. Tim Stark is the real estate expert. He was the person responsible for selecting this site, looking at the surrounding areas, and making sure that this site complies with the municipality's ordinance. And he has the toughest job of anybody in the room today in finding a site in a municipality like Murraysville. Secondly, the exhibit I'd like to point out, Exhibit B, or the FCC license issued to Verizon. Of course, Verizon is one of the industry leaders in providing wireless coverage to this area as well as across the United States. Exhibit C is a Google map. That Google map shows the existing conditions in the field and simply no tall structures to comply with the co-location requirement that your ordinance requires. Exhibit D is what's called a radio frequency safety letter. That's issued by the Verizon engineers to demonstrate compliance with not only the FCC license, but the emissions associated with this. And this site will be in compliance and will be far below the thresholds that are permissible by the FCC. Exhibit E is the FAA approval. This structure is only 125 feet. No lighting is associated with the development of the site, and we have the FAA approval. Exhibit F is probably going to be better suited for Tim and Curtis Paxton. Those are the construction drawings that set forth the criteria, most specifically for your ordinance purposes, the setbacks. And we meet all the setbacks. There are no requests for any variances associated with this. We also provide, some applicable legal principles and argument. I won't get into that. I can conclude with that if necessary. But that is our presentation in terms of meeting the conditional use criteria. I would just ask, and I can provide the court reporter with my copy, that this exhibit, the entire exhibit, be incorporated into the record and marked as applicant Exhibit 1. Thank you. I can leave that with you. If you have any questions, as I said, Tim and Curtis will probably answer most of them.
Council, questions, concerns for the applicant?
I do have a question. I did look through the support documents, but I didn't see the graphics, which is a miss on my part. But this particular communications tower, can you answer, are you able to answer, that has any effect with the large community park in Murraysville? Is there any communications possibility between it and the tower?
In terms of interference?
Well,
Or you're
if
concerned-
someone were to have a cell phone in the community park right now, can they get service via this tower?
They may, but I can assure you that one of the other applications that could be before this body is a site in the community park. And we've been working for a couple of years to work on a lease for that park and another park within the municipality. So I can't guarantee a signal.
Yeah, you're saying possible, but that's not
Yes.
really the main purpose of it.
That's not the purpose.
Okay.
No, this particular geographic area within about a mile service area.
Since the public cannot see the graphics up online, can you let us know what's the distance to the closest residence from?
Mr. Stark.
Hello, Tim Stark, United Site Development, a applicant representative.
If you set that on, if you set that on the table, the camera will be able to see it
Yes.
for the people that are watching.
We waiting for the camera?
May, you can go.
Yeah, you can begin, sir. They'll get it eventually. Yeah.
Just please speak into the mic. Thank you.
There it is.
There we go.
Up.
Okay, the outer square shown is the 100-foot by 100-foot leased area, four corners shown. The inner square is the 50-foot by 50-foot fenced proposed area shown. Oh, thank you, sir. So the 50-foot by 50-foot proposed fenced area is here. The proposed tower is in the middle. The setbacks shown and listed are respectively clockwise, approximately 210 feet plus to the north-northeast, 221 feet east, 366 plus or minus feet to the southwest, 218 feet to the west, and 390 feet to the northwest approximate. The closest residence is outside of that circle in the 200-foot tower setback. Large perimeter circle is shown. So it's somewhere outside.
.200 feet from even the neighboring property lines, correct? Let alone any structures.
It is at least 200 feet to all property lines, and there are no structures within the 200 feet. And I have an aerial that, a picture says 1,000 words. Let me show you 1 second. Yeah, sure. Thank you. I have a better map, but this illustrates the treed, wooded nature of the site selected. It's tucked in this tree bank here with trees in all directions, west, heavy trees to the west, south, and east, minimal trees to the north. But you could see no structures within respective 200-foot circle there, with the closest home that I could see is the property owner's home up here.
No, that's a great picture,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
And one last tidbit of note is, even though it's set in the wooded nature, your ordinance calls for a landscape design, which we have landscape trees going around all four sides of the fence compound. Thank you.
Thank you.
By looking at the drawing, would you say that that residence is within 400 meters of the tower? A quarter mile?
I would have to ask Curtis to scale that. His group professionally engineered the plans, and he's got a better eye for that and quick scaling.
Curtis Paxton with Mead and Hunt. I would say the house is,
Sir, could you maybe?
Slide that to the middle.
If you
Yeah.
see right there.
There you go.
Thank you.
yeah. So the house is located down here by the power pole, and I would estimate that to be probably 850 feet to the property owner's house.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
I would like it, actually, if you went over the legalities of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, where the two things that you have to meet in order for basically what local government is or is not allowed to approve or deny.
Certainly, and as I indicated, this application in part is guided by the Telecommunications Act of 1996. Municipalities have a role in zoning, but they may not prohibit the provision of wireless service as it relates to any issues with health and safety. What is required by the applicant is to demonstrate that they are licensed by the FCC and that the signal strength falls below the thresholds that are permissible and adopted by the government, as well as established by the FDA and other agencies, including the EPA. The two-pronged test, basically, for a site like this is that you have to first establish a gap in coverage, and that you choose a minimally invasive form of that. So that's why in your ordinance, as well as other ordinances, there's a requirement, first, that you seek to co-locate, if there is an option to co-locate. Unfortunately, in this particular area, there simply aren't any other tall structures. It would certainly be a lot easier for Verizon and cheaper if there were water tanks or other tall poles and other towers within the vicinity. They are not there. So the applicant then has to go back to demonstrate compliance with the specific criteria contained in your ordinance. We would submit, on behalf of the evidence that we submitted in our project narrative and as testified to by Mr. Stark as well as Mr. Paxton, that we meet the specific criteria. The zoning ordinance has a role in this process by what's a conditional use. As long as Verizon and the tower company satisfy those specific criteria, they are, in fact, entitled to the grant of the conditional use. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, just as an additional question, the Councilperson Ling, Jamie said that the residence in the tower are 400 meters. Well, if it's 850 feet, that's less than, that doesn't meet the criteria. Is 850
no.
feet from the tower to the residence?
No, the setback requirement is 1 foot to the height of the tower. We satisfy all those criteria.
Yeah, they,
All of the specific criteria for the municipality's ordinance are satisfied. I'm not sure as to what.
that was my own curiosity,
Oh,
just
okay.
on some of the safety issues that I was reading concerning the RF. So,
Okay.
Do you happen to have higher resolution graphics that can be provided in the future for the, not now, but the current coverage area versus the future?
We could certainly provide that.
Okay. It's hard to make out some of the.
Yeah, I
roads.
know, and I've asked those questions in the past to the radio frequency group, and, engineers aren't the easiest people to deal with. And that's their software, unfortunately, but we can certainly attempt to effort that.
Thank you.
Can you share whether Verizon has any interest of leasing that tower to other carriers?
They do. It won't be Verizon. There's the Tower Co. This is a joint application between a company, the parent company is Vertical Bridge. They're one of the leading independent tower companies in the nation. And absolutely, they will make that space available for the other carriers. The limitation, however, is due to the height. Ideally, they would prefer additional height, but given the ordinance and some other criteria that we wanted to balance, we felt that 125 would work.
Thanks.
In the Planning Commission meeting, it was discussed that this was going to be a 4G LTE tower. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
In the Planning Commission
Yes.
meeting, it was discussed that this was going to be a 4G LTE tower. Is
It would
that
be
correct?
4G with the opportunity to advance to 5. It depends on the timelines when the radio frequency engineers make that determination. But these sites are built today to accommodate 5G. And Mr. Paxson indicated this particular site is also available for 2 additional co-locators.
Okay. Any further questions or concerns from council? And, oh, yeah,
I don't know if this applies to the applicant, but in terms of Murraysville with this zone RR, are there any other similar towers that are located in this kind of zoning district?
There are. I know that one of the first towers that I was involved in, and I apologize, I wanted to look at this today, and I'm talking about almost 30 years ago. There's a high-end residential neighborhood in this community that was built after the monopole was there, and I believe that structure was about 150 feet. That's one of the first towers that I did, when I was a young kid. I had more pepper in my hair than salt.
okay. Anything further from council at this time? Anything further from the applicant before we get to citizens' comment?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cortez.
Thank you.
At this time, is there anyone who would like to give citizens' comment in regards to this cell tower project only? We will have a time in our meeting later for general citizens' comment. So if anyone would like to come forward for the cell tower, please do so now. Okay, it looks like we have no citizens' comment. Can I have a motion to close the record, please?
So moved.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Ling and Mr. Stepanovich. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the record is closed in regard to the Verizon cell tower conditional use application. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we are going to begin our second conditional use hearing of the night. Give me a moment. This is a public hearing for CU-1-25, Mr. Handyman, 5608 William Penn Highway, a conditional use application for parking on a lot other than containing the principal use, 0.662 acres, tax parcel 49-15-00-0-045B, business zoning. I see the applicant is at the mic. Would you please introduce yourself and kick us off? Thank you.
Sure. My name is Brian Almeter with the firm of Farringer McCarty Gray, representing the applicant. The applicant is with me this evening if there's any direct questions of him as well. As mentioned, I won't go through all of it, but this property is on the north side of Route 22 between Berlin Farm Road and Rick's Sports Bar. It's been there a long time. The parcel originally contained a business with a parking area. I think it was Cub Cadet. The prior owner actually owned the property from 1988 through 2021 when the applicant purchased the property. And he owns the adjacent property on tax map 44 as shown on the exhibit here on the screen. The purpose of the application is to allow him to continue to use the gravel parking area primarily for a roll-off dumpster because Waste Management did not want to be backing out onto 22 as they were collecting the trash. So they moved that to the former concrete pad of the structure that was there. And then with the gravel parking area, he does have employee meetings once every other week that his employees park there with the company vehicles. So that's really the purpose of the application, is the conditional use to park on an adjoining parcel to the principal and primary use on property 44. I did prepare, if I may.
Trying to pull that up for you, but I can't find the clicker.
So we did prepare a site plan showing the location of the roll-off dumpster pad, which is sort of in the brown area shown on the exhibit, and the location of the general gravel area that's there now. Please note that the surveyor who prepared this plan of survey, that was part of the record as well, did locate the property lines and set property corners and tried to generally locate the gravel area. Now, the business weeds have grown up over the years, so as best he could depict where the gravel area was, but in fact took quite a bit of the front area of the property. As mentioned on the site plan, the proposed roll-off dumpster area would be screened with a wooden fence on the Route 22 side of the concrete slab, and then as well as some plantings in front of that, evergreen plantings, both in front of the roll-off dumpster as well as an extension of the landscape plan or a landscape bed for the existing office building that he owns on parcel 44. If you'd like, and as submitted as part of the application package, there was a project narrative for conditional use for this specific use. I'd like to just quickly go through those for the record, and then we'll entertain any questions. As mentioned, the property was originally and continues to be a commercial use gravel parking area. As part of the package, we did include some historic photographs dating back into the late 90s and early 2000s. The use of this area is less intense since there's no building there now. The current driveway is accessed from Route 22, and no additional traffic is really going to be generated by this particular use and what was there before. This is a business property and it's consistent with that string, I'll call it, of retail and commercial uses along that side of Route 22. Buildings and signs or other occupiable structures are not proposed for this lot. The improvements, again, consist of just top dressing and continue to maintain the gravel driveway as it currently is, construction of the wooden fence, and landscaping to screen those improvements. The proposed use will be harmonious with the adjacent uses as it's been for however long it's been there, many, many years. Size and density is consistent with prior uses and should not be a nuisance to nearby residences, businesses, or properties. Obviously, the parking is not going to generate any abnormal vibrations, noise, fumes, lights, or pollution. The intended use is proposed to comply with the municipal regulations, and if there are some that come up through this discussion, obviously we'd ask for a waiver or modification if it hasn't already been shown on the plan. Applicable to the parking regulations specific to this parking area, parking spaces proposed to meet Article 5, parking spaces and associated driveway will remain gravel as proposed and noted. Proposed parking is intended to be used only by the employees and not customers of this particular business. Parking is located within 500 feet of the office, which is a requirement as well. And there's no lighting proposed, so we're not going to be having any sort of light spill or anything like that onto other properties. We can go through the other exhibits, but they were part of the original package. I can certainly do that if council desires, or we can entertain any questions.
I think at this time, council, any questions or concerns for the applicant?
Just to understand, he owns both adjoining properties?
Yes.
And the parking right now is on the one property, and you're proposing to use the other property for parking?
Yes, that's correct.
Entirely.
Yeah, customer
Okay.
parking is all in the front and
Right.
has been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
It was a prior office use.
Thank you.
So there are no plans to pave that parking lot?
No, there's not.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns from council? Okay, Mr. Nestico, anything you'd like to say in regards to this application?
The applicant has met much of the criteria as required by the municipality, but as Ms. Ling had just asked the applicant, that is one issue, one item of issue that was discussed at the planning meeting. The applicant does not intend to pave the parking lot area. The municipality's position is that paving or an impervious surface pursuant to the zoning ordinance 220-68 is required. So that's an issue of, I guess, dispute, if you will. And some of the discussion at the Planning Commission meeting revolved around other locations within the municipality that did not have paved lots. We looked into some of those examples. Some of them predated the zoning ordinance. Some of them were not required, but the municipality has consistently and regularly required uses such as this to be paved. So that is one item, I guess, of dispute. Otherwise, the remainder of the application and the site plan that's presented seem to all fall in line with municipal requirements otherwise.
Is there a recommendation? Because it would appear to me that the application now, it would not be paved, right? If it's approved as is?
If it's approved as is, again, the municipality has, in the briefing, indicated to the applicant that the parking surface is required to be paved. So, again, staff would recommend that that be a condition of approval.
Okay. Applicant, could you comment on that?
Sure. There are numerous sections in the municipal code that we presented at Planning Commission. One of those is, as pointed out, under the parking regulations, 220-68-5A specifically says, parking surfaces at sites other than those included in subsection A5B, which is essentially your parks. The parking area shall be graded to proper drainage and shall provide an impervious surface such as concrete or bituminous concrete, or, and I think that's the key in my mind, or a pervious surface that provides a parking surface similar to concrete or bituminous concrete. Now, I would argue that the gravel parking lot is a surface that's similar to concrete or bituminous concrete, similar to the walking trail or the gravel parking lots at the park or other gravel parking lots that we mentioned at the Planning Commission throughout Murraysville. So that's what I would say. The cost to pave this would be extraordinarily high for a small business in Murraysville. And I believe that for the use, for the intended use, for access to the roll-off dumpster and the every other week vehicle that would be parking there, or numbers of vehicles that would be parking there for employees, don't warrant the additional monies.
Question, the parking lot that exists at the business is paved, some of it, right?
It's all paved in front of the existing.
Are there regulations for handicap accessible, the fact that those are where those are at, correct? Because I would assume the gravel parking lot would be not really wheelchair accessible.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there is a striped ADA space,
Okay.
space on the
On the paved
existing, on the
part?
paved portion.
Okay, thank you.
Are there plans to join those lots at any point?
Not at this time, no.
At any point?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, I mean, bluntly, it's a marketing. If it's consolidated, and we talked to the prior administrator, if it's consolidated, the value of both those properties probably would go down. So the owner would like to keep their options open. The code allows parking on an adjacent property if it meets those conditions, and we felt that it did. So we would like to keep it separate properties.
Okay, other questions or concerns from council at this time? Okay, I will say on the record that I think we're going to have to side with our staff on this one and just take it from there. That's my position, but whenever we get to the vote, I guess that's where we'll decide if it'll be there. Does anyone else on council, while we're on the record, want to have any comment on that?
I agree with you.
Okay.
Are we going to have discussion when it comes up?
I
Or is
think
the
discussion would be now, honestly.
Yeah, I just, personally, I don't think the gravel is a standard that we want to have here. I think when you're pulling out at a high, you have to pull out quick because cars are traveling fast. That's going to wash out on the road. You got big trucks going down, they're going to spit the rocks up and you're going to get cracked windshields. I think it's just I just don't think it's a good idea to have that.
If I may relate it to that,
Sure.
there is, PennDOT did pave, I believe it was PennDOT, did pave the apron from the edge of Route 22 into the property, a fair distance. I don't know exactly what that distance is, but it is shown on the exhibits that were provided. You can, if you go down to around the, yeah, you can see it there. If you keep going to page, around page 11, 10 or 11 on the PDF, there's some street views of it for the benefit of the council. Yeah, so that's what was there in, I believe that was early.
That was 2007, it shows.
Yeah. So that's still there and does keep all the gravel or any loose stones, if you may, on the property. I look at this as similar to across the street. There's gravel parking area across the street. Almost inevitably, when I'm driving eastbound, there's 2 or 3 tractor trailers parked there. I don't know if they're treated the same way. There are a couple other businesses that I've seen that have been acquired recently next to the trail that are gravel parking lots. And this business owner purchased this with the understanding that this was a parking area for a business prior, and he would just like to continue to use that in a safe and efficient manner.
Is the proposed parking lot going to attach in any way to the existing parking lot of the business?
Not vehicular, just pedestrian to be able to walk.
Just a walking
over
path.
To the building itself, yes.
And it's hard to tell from the picture, but what's the slope of that? Is there like a slope to that?
I don't have the topography with me, but I could guess maybe 10%, 8 to 10% maybe. And that's the way it was when Mr. Reaping purchased the property.
The last page, Mr. Nestiga gives the current view.
Sorry, I'm working in the PDF.
Not much different than the other businesses on either side.
I'll go on the record with Mr. Dice in regards to deferring to our staff on this. I think it's a big deal of setting precedent for anything in the future with the gravel. So if the ordinance calls for it to be paved, I believe.
Well, it does and it doesn't. It does say pervious, similar to, and that's why I have to disagree that would you call the walking trail gravel? Would you call it impervious surface? Would you call it gravel? What would you call that?
I think it would depend upon the coefficient, right?
And to that end, there is in the TR 55 methodology of the DEP code for stormwater management that there is a range for gravel surfaces between 0.6 and 0.9, depending on the condition. And I would argue that that gravel in this condition is going to be higher than in terms of imperviousness, not percolation, would be on the higher end, so that it would qualify by definition to meet the or
Was it tested?
impervious surface.
Was it?
It was
tested?
not tested.
So you're guessing at what the coefficient?
Well, even if it was tested, if the council would consider putting the same top dressing as the Murraysville Park or the walking trail or something that is pervious surface, providing similar to concrete or bituminous concrete, then I would argue that we could put limestone dust on here and it would turn like concrete, because that's what happens. That's what happened to the walking. Sure, they've top dressed it with a limestone fines or dust that creates it like concrete.
But you walk on a walking trail. You're not driving on a walking trail.
But it's as solid as any paved surface. If you tested that, I would guess you've got as much runoff off the walking trail as you would a paved surface. It's not an and/or, it's a or pervious surface. So,
Well, and that's where it gets into the definitions, impervious surface, surfaces with a coefficient of runoff greater than 0.85.
Right.
So that's where, the or does come into place, and I guess based on the numbers you said, if it's on the absolute higher end at 0.9, it's there, but, does that mean we have to come in and put up a sign that says you can't park here every time it falls below 0.85? That's a hard standard.
it is, but I think once you establish that, just like the trail or just like the parking lots, it's going to be there because it's going to have fines similar to concrete to create that surface. And if we go to the zoning code where it's definition of pervious surface, there is no definition. If you go to the definition section for pervious surface, not a ground, pervious surfaces shall include, but not limited to, roofs, additional indoor living spaces, patios, garages, storage sheds, and similar structures, and any new streets or sidewalks. Decks, parking areas, gravel areas, and driveway areas are counted as impervious areas as they directly prevent infiltration. So that's under the stormwater ordinance definition. Under the stormwater ordinance definition, there is a definition of pervious area, and that definition is any material or surface that allows water to pass through at a rate equal to or greater than natural ground cover. So based on that, so in the stormwater, it does describe and defines what that pervious surface is.
If I may, I think, just to be clear, from a staff standpoint, because we've had this discussion with the applicant, and we're conflating many different scenarios. We're conflating different ordinances, which aren't always applicable to one another. We're also conflating different scenarios when it's relative to parking versus walking trails, when it's a side use as opposed to a principal use. And in this case, while not all the definitions stand alone, under the zoning ordinance, they don't call out every single definition. Again, staff has looked to what has been required by the municipality in the past, and the pervious surface historically in the municipality has been things similar to brick pavers, not pressed stone or whatever the gravel stone is, compacted stone. And just as recently as September, the municipality required a business owner to install asphalt on their parking lot, which previously had some gravel. And again, that was there prior to the zoning ordinance. And some of the examples that were provided also predate the zoning ordinance. Now, I don't know what was required at that time, but I say that because from staff's standpoint, we were looking specifically at the language here and not trying to pull from different places.
I don't think you need to pull from different places, although pervious is not defined in zoning. It says similar to impervious. The impervious has that 0.85 requirement. So again, if we're talking about some sort of brick, that would probably be above the 0.85, and we could take it from there. So I think at this point, what we should say, applicant, please say whatever you want on the record here, and then we'll do any last questions or concerns from council, and then we'll do public comment and take it from there. Or is there anything, council, you want to ask right now, just conversationally?
Would the municipality consider millings rolled as a paved surface in this case?
I would have to, of course, talk to the engineering department. I don't know that I could answer that. That didn't seem to be something that was in consideration, but if it is, certainly we could look at that.
To me, it's in the middle. It's not paved. It's not gravel. It forms a nice surface for driving on. Doesn't drag stones into the road. So that's just an idea.
Okay.
And I think that's where I was going with the idea of the gravel parking area to begin with, was there are other pervious type that would create the same look and the same feeling. I would hope that council would understand that, and even in their ordinance, if it was, 0.85, if the applicant can meet that requirement by using millings or limestone dust or something similar to that, and hold up for really the intended use, which is a couple of vehicles, van-type vehicles as shown on the picture, and the occasional waste management pickup truck, to pick up the roll-off dumpster. He's in business. He's not going to create a rutted type situation. He's got to make it functional for him and for his employees. So if that's a viable option to meet the impervious number, then I am sure we can do that, not be handcuffed by asphalt pavement, concrete pavement, brick with certain apertures in it that would act as a pervious paver or pervious whatever surface. I would certainly hope that you would entertain that for this business. Again, it's not a warehouse. It's not, doesn't have 100 employees here with 100 cars. We understand that. It's continuation of use of the property as it was for the last 40 or 50 years.
Okay. No, thank you, sir. We'll absolutely take that in consideration. At this point, I would ask, is there anyone who would like to give public comment in regards to this parking lot in particular? We'll have yes, ma'am, please. And please just state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Reaping, 6008 Brookside Drive, Export. I am the spouse of the owner. My husband, Jeff, started this business in Murraysville, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. We were excited. We're not from the area. We're transplants here, and we're excited to start a business, a small business, and employ local people and serve the community of Murraysville and the surrounds. And we could find a place to put the business anywhere. We were excited to come to Murraysville. And all that we're looking to do, and when we bought that property, it was under the assumption that it was already being used in that fashion. It was already a business before, had a little parking area. So that was our assumption, that our small business would be able to do the same. Not that we were expanding it for public use or anything like that. Waste Management had a concern about the safety of the trucks being able to get the dumpster. So that is where it started. My husband has a meeting once every 2 weeks with his staff for approximately 45 minutes to an hour. They're pulling in and then back out. So it isn't anything that's a large parking area. We wanted to beautify that lot. There are some properties around there that don't look so good, but we wanted to make it look nice. It's a reflection on our business, and hide the dumpster, although Waste Management probably thinks their dumpsters look nice, but we don't. Wanted to put some plantings and a fence around it, just to make it look nice. I guess my question is, and I'm perplexed as to how the business prior was able to use it in that fashion, and why, just because we came in and really didn't make any other change to it other than upon Waste Management's request, why we couldn't continue to use it in the same way. So I guess that's my question to council.
What I can say is I'm just not sure what the prior business did. You know, I don't know. I don't have any evidence of that. Yeah.
So when we bought it, there was a sign, their Cub Cadet, or whatever, however you say that, was there, and it was being used. There was parking on that since we have been here in the community prior to us buying it. So, but I just, hope you take it into consideration, knowing that it's very limited use, and we just wanted to make it look nice and be able to have a place for our employees to park every once in a while. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to give public comment in regards to this project specifically? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to close the record, please?
So moved.
Motion to close the record?
Thank you, Ms. Sling and Mr. McKenna. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the record is closed. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we will now get to our regular agenda. We'll call the April 2nd meeting to order. Verdale, could I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Ling,
Present.
Mr. Lemak,
Here.
Mr. Olszewski, Mr. McKenna,
Here.
Mr. Stepanovich,
Here.
Mr. Diakopoulos,
Here.
Mr. Dice,
Here.
Mayor Sinan.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mr. Nestico, do we have any unlisted amendments this evening?
No, there are none for this evening.
Thank you. That brings us to our consent calendar items, just the minutes tonight. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Ling and Mr. Stepanovich. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. That brings us to comments by the mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Dice. First up, Murraysville Cleanup Week is April 7th through the 12th. That's when Pleasant Valley Landfill will accept exceptionally big items that you have. The municipality, Murraysville's resident may take the items to the Valley Landfill on Pleasant Valley Road April 1st through April 11th, during the hours of 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Saturday, April the 12th, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Permit passes are available here at the reception desk, 4100 Sardis Road. Next, we have the Joey Gumbosh Fishing Tournament that's been going on for a long time. It's in Townsend Park on Saturday, April the 5th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's for children up to age 15. Next, we still have our final leaf collection of the year. We're calling it Leaf Collection Program 25. To schedule a pickup on one of the collection dates, which is April 26th, please fill out the curbside leaf collection program form on the website. There's a 20-bag limit before each collection date. The deadline to sign up for each date is the Thursday before the pickup date. You have to sign up or the truck may not even be on your street. Okay, the last is the Get to Know Your Library. Join us for the annual joint meeting of the Murraysville Library and the Murraysville Library Foundation, Thursday, April 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Murraysville Community Library, 4300 Sardis Road, right here above the municipal building. Welcome our new Director, Kate Niedig. Light food and drinks, ask questions, and mingle with library supporters, family-friendly and open to the public. That concludes my announcement.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. That brings us to comments by the Chief Administrator. Mr. Nestica?
Yes, only a couple brief items for this evening. The Public Works Department has started the prep work for the paving project, so they've been working on catch basins and inlets throughout various roads in the municipality in order to get things moving on the paving project. And just an update from the Recreation Department. They are not doing the Easter drive-through event that they started during COVID. It took place last year, and over the last couple years, it's created some difficulties with traffic because it takes place here at the library, and with the school letting out, and then all the parents coming over to the library to do the Easter event, it became a little bit of a traffic difficulty on Sardis Road. So they replaced that event with an Easter egg scramble at the MCP wetland. So if anybody wants more information on that, they can go on the Rec Department website, and essentially it's almost like a little scavenger hunt for Easter eggs, and all the eggs reveal a secret code, I guess, at the end for the kids that are participating. So if anybody is interested in that, taking the kids out to the MCP wetlands, there is a small Easter event there in place of the drive-through Easter event.
Okay.
That's all for this evening.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, that brings us to community input. This is everyone's chance to come up and just give general public comment if you like. Thank you. Let's see. Looks like we have some sign-ups. Thank you. Okay, we will begin with Mr. Bob Shepard. And please just state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Robert Shepard. I reside at 4832 Treesdale Court here in Murraysville. We have lived here for 44 years, 24 of them down where I'm at now. I'm here tonight because I have a big problem down on my property with something that I addressed here a couple years ago. There was a subdivision built right up above me. And my wife and I, actually the real reason I'm down here is to get on the agenda. I want to get a meeting on this. But the subdivision was built on top of me. We feel that the way this went down was totally illegal and dishonest. The person that made this subdivision sits here on your planning commission. Okay, I've got a bunch of things. Before, when I was down here about this situation, there were a lot of things that I didn't know. But I've discovered a lot of things now that I want addressed. We have a lot of questions. And I believe Mr. Dice, last time I was down here and went through all this, I think you considered this a civil matter. I don't agree it was a civil matter then, and I don't now. So I want this open for discussion again. I believe that the activity going on across my property is fraud. quite frankly, it's fraud by the developer. Now, Murraysville approved this whole situation. And one of the problems here is, and I'll explain later when I do get on the agenda, that my personal driveway, which is a private drive, was taken as a public road. I would like to know how that happened, and I know for a fact that it did. And as a result of that, I am having a lot of problems down here with water like crazy. And this has been going on. This has been going on for a couple of years now. My wife and I have gone through a lot of pain and suffering over this ordeal. And I want to address it. So I have a bunch of papers that I'd like to pass out to you folks, okay? A lot of things that I've discovered. So I'm going to go ahead and pass these all out. I know I don't have a lot of time here, but any questions from anybody about the situation?
No.
Some of you folks I know here, some of you are new.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Sir, if you just hand those to Mr. Nestico, we can absolutely review it, and then what we'll do is we'll reach out to you once you do that, because obviously, this is again before us, so Mr. Nestico, if you could collect those, we'll make sure everyone on council gets one, and then we will talk this week maybe about how to handle this. Thank you.
let's see. How many we got here, 6? Mike, you already have all this information.
I do, sir. You can also provide one to Mr. Olszewski, who's absent this evening. So if you do have one for everybody, I can make sure he gets it.
Okay, how many do we need, Mike?
7.
I mean, counting the people that aren't here?
7. And I can make copies as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd also like to, is the Tribune Review here? Anybody representing the Tribune? And Franklin?
Thank you, sir. At this time, it looks like there's a Brad Ziegler who would like to speak. Could you come to the mic and just state your name and address?
Thank you for your time. I look forward, I need to address this matter because my wife and I have lost a lot of sleep over this ordeal. We do not think that what's going on here is fair. So that's where I'm going to let it sit for the moment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Ziegler, thank you.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm Brad Ziegler. I reside at 5202 Edwards Road, so the back part of Murraysville, I like to call. I'm just bringing an agenda basically just to do a meet and greet on this, as I don't have much information, but I've done the groundwork, but I'm just waiting to get the stuff to, to present to you. So what I'm seeking for our road, from Cole Road, if you're familiar with it, to Edwards Road, there is a water line that goes into a development called the Chateau, I believe, road. That road will connect to our road halfway, which we would like to seek a water line. And I've been working, he is the Municipality Authority of Westmoreland County engineer. They are going to estimate, and that's what I'm lacking, because it's kind of just been a back and forth, just, hey, can I have this to present numbers and stuff? So that's why I said tonight is kind of just a meet and greet to just say, our road would like to try to get a PA small water and sewer grant from the state, which would be anywhere from $30,000 to $500,000 to cover that mainline cost, the frontage. The rest would be I believe a small income which wouldn't probably qualify for most residents on ours to get the plumbing costs from your point to the house, to the road, where it would connect, which I'm trying to volunteer to help either the elderly residents that, you know, depending on their situation, that may not be able to cover those costs, try to get them the grants and stuff. But the main purpose of me is just, obviously, we're not going to go out there with a shovel and put this line in. We're going to ask the state for some money and do it the easy way. So what I am asking you is just if we can try to apply for this for our road, or guidance on it and advice, that I can stay after the meeting and talk with somebody to just try to, you know, get the groundwork down from what I've done with the Water Authority. And then when I called and spoke, they said, you know, come to the council, you know, just introduce yourself, state your case, see if it's available. So from my understanding, it's never been done for that part of the road. I'm assuming because there's not a lot of houses. I'm counting 13 from Cole to us. Half, or a little bit, half is on board, but they just want to see that we get the grant. So, you know, show them the money, then they're on board. The last part is there is a part from, I would be the liaison is what they want, and then Dave Perry, Mr. Perry, I believe he resided on the board. He was my geologist. He's very busy, I'm assuming, because I think he owns his own company. So he was going to show you all the testaments of just the quality of water is on his point. My other point was fire hydrants that we don't have on the road for safety, and then also just availability of resources to up people's property values and just, you know, having quality water. So the last part of it is just there is a developer that did buy a bunch of property on the road. He would like to put 1 to 4 houses, but I believe there's a battle on sewage that has to come through and water to put more than 1 home on that property. So that's all I have from our point. I appreciate you guys just listening. Do you have anything for me? This is just basically, I can't really give you anything because I don't have it because I've asked, and I just have to keep calling, I guess, or email. So.
And let me say, we'll talk to staff about this. If there's some way we can assist you with getting money from the state, absolutely. I think where it comes up is Murraysville generally hasn't extended those water lines simply because there's so much that would need to be done. How do we pick where to do it? And then obviously the gigantic cost. But I mean, if there's state money out there, then we can get it for our residents. I don't see why we wouldn't get free money. So we can absolutely talk about this, try to figure it out, and see how we can assist and who you've been talking with at the state and take it from there.
Yeah, that'd be great because
absolutely
they've said all they can say is no.
Yep.
So we can try. Hey, we can try.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have Mr. Ziegler's contact info?
We do,
Okay,
yes.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, at this time, is there anyone else who didn't sign up who would like to give public comment? Yeah, Jeanette, please.
Hello, everyone. Jeanette Pavlik, 4200 Colonial Drive. I'm concerned about the telecommunications tower. And has anyone read the Telecommunications Act of 1992? That they're saying is the reason we have to vote for this or that we were tied into it?
1996.
Okay, 1996. Anyway, yes, I guess there's a yes. Okay. Is this a lead-in to 5G for that tower? Is there any way that we can get assurance that it won't be put into a 5G tower?
I don't know if we can do that, actually. I think the feds kind of take that out of our hand. I think, because cell towers is a huge litigation topic, I think we can tell them where they're allowed to go zoning-wise. I don't know if we can tell them what technology they can use. Sorry.
I'm actually looking at the act right now. I have it up on my screen, and I don't know how to tell you what page this is, because it doesn't have a page number on it. And it goes pretty far back to get to where we're at. Section 704, facilities sitting radio frequency emission standards, and under small letter IV, it says no state or local government or instrumentality thereof may regulate the placement, construction, and modification of personal wireless service facilities on the basis of environmental effects of radio frequency emissions to the extent that such facilities comply with the Commission's regulations concerning such emissions.
I believe that there was some, this is on top of my head, someone else did fight this across the state, but I don't have that information. But I wish this would have been out there more, longer amount of time that I could have done the research to present against this, and that maybe it could be tabled to allow more people to come in and comment on this.
Okay, thank you. Consider it. Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to give public comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will proceed with our agenda. I believe the first item is talking about when we want to have our second May meeting. May 20th, as everyone knows, is the primary election. Huh? Oh, I apologize. Liaison comments. Got ahead of myself. Jason, would you like to start?
I have an easy one. The library meeting was canceled in March.
Thank you. We meet April 10th, right?
Yes, April 10th.
Medic One met on March 20th. They indicated there were 992 ambulance details, 75 wheelchair details. They indicated they were working with State Representative Cooper on emergency entity issues, and what they're basically looking for is to increase the statewide fee schedule to increase above what Medicare is currently providing. There was a discussion, all of the current board members, president, vice president, et cetera, and so forth, were voted in their same position as they were in 2024. And they gave their wholehearted support of having, or if it's necessary, K-9 police continuance. They are really in support of that, and then the next meeting is April 17th.
Awesome. Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, for Parks and Recreation, we meet, it'll be the second week, so the 8th, next Tuesday. But the two things that did go on in the previous meeting to update is we have two scouts that are trying to do their Eagle Scout projects, some really good ones, I think, for the community. One is to possibly build flag disposal boxes to be able to put in certain locations. They're talking about maybe the old mailboxes, using and converting them over so that if you have an American flag, you can put it there and then they will go and dispose of it the proper way through the Legion. So that's one project. And then the other one's pretty exciting for us is the other scout wants to clear all of Skeena Reserve, which is all overgrown beyond belief, and so they're going to go in and clear out everything so that the walking trails are able to be used and do some, we have signage already purchased for that. We just need it cleared out. It's hard because we can't get any equipment down there for Bill and his crew to do anything. It's just too slopey, so this will be good. It's straight up Boy Scout manpower.
Awesome.
Yeah, so hopefully they're going to go forward with those, and that's about it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Planning Commission meets on the same day, April 8th.
Perfect. Eli?
Yeah, no update on the pension committee.
Okay, thank you. FTMSA meets on the 24th this month. Okay, sorry for jumping the gun. Now we can talk about the moving the May meeting. So, Mr. Nestico, you want to kick us off?
Sure, and if I may just add in to the liaison reports, planning will not have a meeting this April. We don't have any agenda items, so
Take that back.
so I apologize. As you said that, I realized we didn't get the notice out yet there. So no planning meeting for April. As far as the item under 9A, May 20th is the primary, so this room will be utilized by the Election Bureau to conduct primary elections. So the obvious or clear choice may be to move it to Wednesday the 21st. I don't know if that works for everybody, but I just wanted to open up that discussion. We will need to move the meeting date. It's just selecting another day and then advertising that.
I can say I wouldn't be able to make it on the 21st, but if that works for everybody else, I'm fine with that.
Works for me.
Yeah, it's fine with me as well.
You can just do the 21st.
It's fine.
Thank you.
It does make the most sense, because if you push it back to the next week, then it's only 1 week out from the June meeting, so it would align well. So we can advertise and plan for Wednesday, May 21st.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. We have no more discussion items. That brings us to our first action item, an appointment of the library board. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to appoint Robert Brooks to the Library Board of Directors to serve the remainder of a 3-year term, said term to expire December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Let's go Mac and Jamie. Obviously, this is an easy decision. Mr. Brooks, would you like to say anything?
The one thing that I really enjoy is the library is a great asset of this community, and council has always treated it that way. And so, as being a part of council in the past, I'd be excited about helping the library continue its asset.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Bob, just one question, Bob. What book have you read recently, out of curiosity?
I read a lot of books.
Okay. And thank you for your commitment to public service. You're always finding a new way to help out. So with that, any questions or concerns before we vote?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks again, Mr. Brooks. Okay, that brings us to 13B. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the agreement to the Municipality of Murraysville Police and non-uniform pension plan.
Second.
Thank you, Jamie and Jason. Mr. Nestico?
Yes, the municipality has utilized Mock and Hop for its actuarial services for quite some time. Mock and Hop was purchased by Acrisure. Services agreement. We've had a difficult time comparing apples to apples with how Mock and Hop has traditionally handled our account, because there are some services that were previously included that are not, and then the opposite is also true. There are some services that were not previously included in our plan but now will be. We estimate that if the costs go up on the plan, it might be in the range of around $3,000, so it's not a substantial amount. What we would like to do is approve the agreement with Acrisure. We're certainly not prepared to move on from those actuarial services at this time, and we can evaluate it over the next year or so and see if the costs remain similar, or if they do go up substantially, then we would revisit that. But for the time being, this would make the most sense for the municipality to approve the agreement with Acrisure and keep everything intact as it has been.
Okay, awesome. Any questions or concerns from council? This is really just keeping everything in order. To 14A, can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve CU 2-25 Communication Tower, 4900 Lasher Court, a conditional use application for a communications tower. 10.712 acres, tax parcel 49-07-00-263, RR Rural Residential Zoning District.
I'll second.
Thank you, Carl and Eli. I can say that I would like to vote on this evening. I apologize, Jeanette, but I just don't think there's any room to deny this based on 5G. Personally, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. Even if we did deny it, we would just be forestalling the inevitable. So that's my take on it. Council, if there's any comments or thoughts?
I just wanted to clarify from that act, because I read through it as I was sitting here, that basically said that if we were to deny it, they would just take it to the commission, and the commission would essentially overrule us anyway. So.
Any other thoughts? Okay, with that being said, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 14 ayes, unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. That brings us to 14B. Can I have a motion? And I would say whoever makes the motion, this is your chance to include in the motion a condition that the parking lot be paved in accordance with the ordinance and staff's recommendation, or if you feel it should just be a gravel lot, you could also make that motion.
I'll make a motion under staff recommendation to include paving as part of the conditional use to approve CU-1-25, Mr. Handyman, 5608 William Penn Highway, a conditional use application for parking on a lot other than containing the principal use, 0.662 acres, tax parcel 4915000045, B, business zoning.
Second.
Thank you, Jamie and Mac. Any final discussion from council before we would vote? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. 14B is also unanimous. That brings us to 15A. Can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to advertise ordinance number 1102-25 FTMSA easement at tax map number 49-10-00-0-128.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Jason and Carl. I believe we discussed this before, correct, Mike?
I'm sorry, I missed what you
Oh, sorry, we're talking about the FTMSA easement, the one we're advertising?
Yeah, so this is somewhat of an extension of what we did last month. There were two other easements that council advertised and then approved. It turned out that there was a third easement that was sent over. The engineering firm did not believe that it needed to be advertised and recorded, but we looked into it and determined that that was the best course of action. So this third easement is all part of the Haymaker Run project. Staff would recommend advertisement and subsequent approval in order to allow FTMSA to move forward on this project. This particular easement is for a very small piece of a corner of our property. The pipe that they'll be putting in won't even be going through our property, which is why they didn't think the easement needed to be recorded, but it is part of the area of ingress and egress. So this is an extension of the earlier item we approved last month.
Okay, questions or concerns from council? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, 15A is unanimous, thank you. That brings us to 15B. Can I have a motion, please?
Yeah, motion to approve the release of the escrow being held to ensure completion of the Sloan School excess road maintenance as required by the escrow agreement with the Franklin Regional School District dated August 5th, 2019.
In the amount of $316,500.
That's okay. Second.
Okay, thank you, Eli and Jamie. Michael, I believe we talked about this before, but I guess let's elaborate again. Thank you.
Sure, yes, and again, this is another one that's an extension of last month, so a great job in March missing these two items, but no. This one, there was a third amount being held in escrow that the municipality was unaware of that also needed to be released. Once we released the other two amounts being held for completion of the school project, they pointed out that there was this last amount being held in escrow. So again, everything's been satisfied. It's actually been satisfied for some time. And so staff would recommend the release of the funds, and that would bring this the overall project to completion by releasing this third set of escrowed funds.
Okay, any questions or concerns from council?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, 15B is unanimous. Can I have a motion for 15C, please?
Make a motion to approve the request for Eastern Gas Transmission and Storage Incorporated, EGTS, to enter into an excess maintenance agreement to utilize 1.34 miles of Sardis Road, 0.52 miles of Hunter Drive, and 0.59 miles of Wallace Road to to replace approximately 2,000 feet of pipeline LN 25, a 20-inch natural gas pipeline.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mac and Carl. Somewhat self-explanatory, but Michael, would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, the only other item to add in is that the gas company anticipates truck traffic in the range of 35 to 40 total trucks throughout the project. They will post a bond in the amount of $30,625.
Okay.
Can you, 30 to 40 trucks per day?
No, for the project, overall project.
Thank you, Jason. That's a
Thank
good
you.
point, yeah. Any other questions or concerns from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 15C is also unanimous, thank you. Nothing under Public Works. Any old or new business this evening? Okay, we have no executive session planned, no outstanding action items, so can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Jamie and Carl. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.